One.
Hey, welcome everybody to It Came From Gen X. This is episode 8. Can't tell you what I just ate, but I am your host, Keith Porter, along with your other host, Michael Skinner, Brian Fisher. And I tell you, when this guy talks, he couldn't be looser, but we like to welcome this show's producer, Michael Skinner Jr. What's going on, my man?
Wow. That was great.
I know it. I got stuff for you today. How's everybody doing? Everybody all right,
man?
All right, good.
Yeah.
Well, certainly welcome to all of our listeners, and we would be remiss if we didn't take a moment at the beginning of this show. We are at a loss for words and at Heavy Hearts today. We lost truly one of our own, and I say that because he went to high school with us. He was more particular in band with us, and me personally, he was one of my drummers in the drum line. And his name is Darius Boggs, and we lost him yesterday. And guys, I'm still just at shock, Skinner. I can't even put it into words. Darius was one of the funniest individuals you ever want to meet. He was a Coach Steelers fan. He loved football. And he was very, very, very well versed in politics and world events. He could debate with anybody, but he was just a great guy. Darius came in the room and he just made you laugh, and he will be sorely, sorely missed. Wearing my Steelers shirt today in tribute to Darius Boggs. God bless you, brother. God bless his family. And it's just a sad day for us all.
Yeah, for you folks that are listening to us on podcast, on radio, you can't see us. I'm actually wearing the brown gear today in honor of Darius. I grew up with him. I've known him my entire life. He lived at 2050 16th Street. My address was 2050 18th Street. We were 2 blocks away, and like I said, I've known him my entire life. Him and his little brother, Brian, who is I can't imagine what he's going through. They lost their dad last year. They lost their mom back in 1994. So Brian is the last one left in his family. So
that was giving
him his space. But I tell you what, I was not prepared to wake up yesterday morning with the news that I was woken up to. So Darius, wearing my Browns gear, brother, we love you. We're going to certainly miss you. He was a fan and friend of our other show with reality football. He was a huge contributor.
I meant to mention that he was a listener.
Yes,
he contributed, even if it was getting on our case about something. So, but he listened. I saw Darius. My last 2 times I saw him was a couple years ago. He was in town and called me out of the blue. And I think my mom had my car or something, and I was at a girlfriend's house. And he said, "You need a ride? I'll come get you." He came and got me. I just out of the blue. And that was the first time I had seen him. But then, of course, we had the Kenmore Band reunion.
Right.
And I walked in, and there's Darius standing with all these drummers, whom I didn't know any of them other than Darius. And I walked over. I said, "Hey, who's in charge?" And they looked at each other. Darius, "With you?" I said, "That's right. Everybody in the hallway." So, that was a great day with Darius. So I'll miss him.
Real quick, if you got something, let's cheers to Darius. We love you, brother. Rest in peace. And we'll see you on the other side.
Amen. All right. Well, this is our 8th show, and we're excited. And Fish, go ahead and tell them where they can find us.
Okay, you might be listening to us on the WMBU.org, Global Internet Radio, Monday nights from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. We are on all major podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. You can also ask your home assistant device to play the It Came From GenX podcast, and she will do that for you from the comfort of your own home. The Facebook page, all information is there. If you remember nothing other than this, at It Came From GenX, all one word. Look for us there. YouTube channel, It Came From GenX. Email the show, It Came From GenX330 at gmail.com. And we are also on Instagram, It Came From _GenX. Twitter, It Came From GenX. And TikTok, It Came From GenX330. But again, Facebook at It Came From Gen X, Everything's there. Links to the podcast, links to the videos. Go check us out. And I want to say we've had a lot more, even since the last week, we've had more page likes. Don't know if our new page followers are listening to the show for the first time yet this week. If you
I think
are,
it's all the
thank
comments
you.
about my rear end. I think that's what's
That was
drawing them in.
Yeah, that clip from 2 weeks ago had the most views on our TikTok account and likes of anything that we put up there. Absolutely. So we are anxiously. I wanted to hear an update on the show. I hope today. So anyway, so welcome new listeners. Thanks for your support. If you do listen, give us a like and subscribe. Tell a friend if you like our stuff, and we appreciate your support.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Fish. Again, I want to welcome Mike Jr., Mike Skinner Jr. This is Skinner's son. We're blessed to have all our kids contribute and everything that we've been able to do so far.
Yes.
Fisher's daughter Peyton did the wonderful artwork for the show, and Junior here has been producing the show, making strides every week. Don't know where we'd be without him, so we're glad to have you here, buddy. You doing all right today?
I appreciate that. I'm doing all right. I really appreciate those kind words. I'm really enjoying the direction of the show and where it's going every day. I mean, you see the little clips I send you. You guys crack me up.
Yeah.
So it's
well,
been
before
enjoyable.
you get all excited, your dad charged me $20 to say that. So don't get too excited, okay? All right.
All right, I'll take them when I can get them.
All right, no problem. So, hey, just a little update here. Okay, so I went in a couple weeks ago to get a colonic done. I made the mistake of telling these morons on the show, and I haven't lived it down. So if you did not catch last week's show, the infamous, the no good, the low down John Cooper, who is not here, but he had time to make a nice little commercial, and Junior put it in, and I tell you what, you guys are all dead meat.
Well,
the only thing that makes me mad was I laughed so hard when I heard it. That made me even madder.
I'll tell you what, the hardest part was when he first sent me the recording and he told me, he was like, all right, I need you to put some cheesy 80s music underneath. I'm like, all right, here we go. I started putting it together and I was just laughing the entire time.
You'll pay for that. You'll pay for that. All right.
Yes, sir. I'll do it right away, sir. Marge, how many times do I have to tell you not to call me every minute at the office?
But, honey, this is an emergency, and I don't know what to do. The drain stopped up, and the water's running all over everything.
Well, what can I do about it? Call the local Roto-Rooter company. Oh, and while he's there, have him check all the drains. I had to wait 20 minutes last night for the bath water to drain out.
Why didn't I think of Roto-Rooter sewer service? Bye, dear.
Don't you worry, but don't be late. For Roto-Rooter right away. For quick first aid, you can depend on Roto-Rooter to save the day. Call Roto-Rooter, that's the name. And when you go trouble down the street, Roto-Rooter. Roto-Rooter sewer service for any...
All right, we're ready to get started. Let's get this thing cooking with some world news. In a hot dog contest, he's a winner. Let's turn it over to Michael Skinner. Go ahead, buddy.
Oh, I love your intros. Okay, fellas, first story I've got, and it's a pretty big one, especially with on the heels of the George Floyd trials that's been going on for the last couple weeks. Mr. Dwayne Wright was shot and killed yesterday afternoon in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. What turned out should have been just a traffic stop turned into an absolute nightmare for him and his family and the officers involved. They stopped him for a registration was late on the license, and then come to find out that they knew going in that he had some open warrants that they were just trying to get him. The female officer, which they have not named, thought she had her taser in her hand, and you could see they had camera gear, both dash cam and body gear. She kept saying taser, 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 which is what they are instructed to do prior to pulling that trigger. But come to find out, she had her service revolver or service pistol in her hand instead of her taser, and they shot and killed this individual with his girlfriend's fiance his baby's mother
But
next
to
to
be
him.
clear, she thought she was pulling her taser. That was.
But come to find out, she thought she had her taser in her hand.
Okay.
And when I went in and did a little bit of research on this, and I listened to the captain of the force, or the commander of the police force, he even said that they're trained to have their pistol on their dominant side, and the taser is on the non-dominant side. So how she got switched up, the kid was asked to come out of the car. I shouldn't say kid, he's a gentleman, 20 years old. They asked him to get out of the car. He did. There was a little bit of a scuffle. His mom, I guess, was on the phone too. And then he jumped back into the car instead of trying to do it. I don't know the whole story yet. Anyway, what happened is, unfortunately, she tragically killed him. It initially appears that it's a complete accident, mistake, not done malicious in any way, but we're not sure. It is a female officer. I don't know the color of skin.
Okay.
To me, it doesn't matter whether it's black, white, or indifferent. So
before I hit the fish to start us off, I did not. For those of you who are new to the show, it came from GenX. This is a show about life, particular topics such as pop culture, world events, sports, and music through the eyes of Gen Xers, which we are. We also look at the dichotomy between Gen X and millennials. We make fun of each while making fun of each other. We are also the cast of Reality Football, so we just wanted to say welcome to you new listeners. With that being said, please, Fish, go ahead.
Well, it's certainly unfortunate, needless to say. So, I mean, I didn't hear the story, Skinner. So, but everything you said here, it sounds like an unfortunate accident. I mean, it would certainly have a different tone if there was excessive force or something along that line. So it's just a shame. So, I don't know. I mean, some of the arguments here too, if the gentleman would follow orders from the officer, would this have a different result? I don't know, but it just sounds like an unfortunate accident, and the heat of the moment, and your hands get screwed up or whatever it is. I mean, if that's what you're trained to do, obviously it sounds like it would be easy to make a mistake in the heat of a moment and pull the wrong trigger. So maybe they got to revisit how they're trained and technique there, perhaps. I don't know. I'm not sure, but that's so it's just too bad. So that's all I got.
You hit it, but Mike hit it right at the end when he said, "I don't know what race, whatever." You know what? This shouldn't matter.
Right.
Number one, no one should die at a traffic stop. That's number one. Number two, if this officer thought she was grabbing a taser, then this is a reflection, in my opinion, what has been the problem all along. The media has made racial issues out of it to sell, whatever, but it's about officers not being properly trained. And I think this right here is the epitome of that, when you don't even know what you're grabbing in the heat of the moment. That's why you're a police officer, to be cool in the heat of the moment, and to know what you're doing. So I don't know much about it to make, a well-informed comment. But this sounds pretty much like just another person out on the street, not prepared to deal with the things that are coming at them. I don't care who was what color. And also, someone said it plain as day. You know what? Comply. Don't fight officers. That'll stop a lot of stuff. Not everything. There's been some police brutality. But for the most part, just do what you're told. And no one will have to draw on you, no matter what. So,
right.
Well, real quick, we have a millennial here on the cast this week. So let's get if you've got a take real quick, Mike, and we'll move on to a little bit easier subject.
Sure. I don't really have too much to add because, to be honest with you, I haven't looked that deeply into the case. From what you guys are saying, it seems like it was an unfortunate accident, and I tend to agree with Keith. It seems like this is more of a failure of training, and it sounds like whoever this officer was clearly either was not trained properly or that person should not be a cop, because like a traffic stop, this just can't happen. I mean, especially like someone began, or I think Dad began saying, it's in the midst of the George Floyd stuff going on. So
right.
But yeah, like I said, I haven't delved that deeply into it, so I don't have that much. I don't want to give an input because I don't know that much. So
Okay, how old are you, Junior?
I will be 28 in a couple months.
28. Okay, so when we were 28 and younger, I believe 32 was the cutoff to be an Akron police officer. This is where we're located, for the most part. The requirements to be an Akron police officer used to be grades, psychological exam, all these important things. Do you know what the number one requirement is right now for millennials to be a police officer? The one thing they look at, all they care about.
I would assume a degree in criminal justice.
Not even close.
Okay.
Credit.
What does that mean?
A credit check.
You know where I got this from? The Akron Police Department. I have a degree in criminal justice. They came to our class and talked to us how everything has changed, and this is what they look at now. And I think that might have a reflection on why we have some of the issues we have.
Sure.
Credit. Yep. So anyway, all right, go ahead, Skinner. What's
Good Lord. Good Lord. Okay. Do you guys know what happened here in our great state of Ohio today? A new law took into effect.
It rained. Yes, it did. I saw that. I think it's going to benefit Fisher more than anybody.
Ohio's.
He goes, well, guess.
Right, no kidding. Ohio's beer and wine delivery law took into effect today to where businesses with a valid license to sell beer and wine now may deliver, just like Uber Eats or DoorDash or all those other ones, delivering beer and wine. There is one stipulation. They're not into the liquor yet, the hard liquor, the whiskeys, and all those other things. There's some parameters that got to go into effect, or they got to get some guidelines with all that, but it's not far away that you can go and buy yourself a bottle of whiskey and have it delivered to your house. I got two things with that real quick. I'll get your opinion, and then I want to throw a Generation X, a Gen X versus millennial kind of question. I think it's pretty cool. It's going to keep people that need to do a beer run during their partying. They don't have to get behind a wheel and risk the lives of others.
Yep.
And most importantly, these businesses that have been shut down through this pandemic, these restaurants and bars, this is a revenue stream that they desperately need to stay and survive. They can't go much longer with the way things are going. So with that,
so it's a survival.
It is. Yeah. What do you got, Fish?
Real quick before you go, Fish, I just want to say, making a beer run. See, when I used to drink, there was no such thing as making a beer run. I always bought enough the first time. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. Preparation.
Go ahead,
you daggone kids out there.
Get off my lawn. Go ahead, buddy.
No, everything you said, Skinner, makes I agree with everything you just said there. So it's funny. I remember sitting around back in the day with like Cooper and just saying, man, if somebody could figure out how to deliver Taco Bell, they would make a fortune because we're in line and all those crazy hours and stuff like that. And fast forward, here we are. Now you can actually have in the same delivery, or the same evening at least, maybe not the same delivery, you could have Taco Bell and beer delivered to your home. You know, this is what progress is supposed to be. It's the 100%. It's the complete opposite of that terrible last story. Have people bring stuff like that to your home. And I agree with you. The safety thing is very nice because you're right. There would definitely be some people who will get behind the wheel of a car that should not, to run down the street and risk, hurting themselves and other people. I myself in the day too. Don't get me wrong. So yeah, I think it's good for the business, good for the state. So that's what
I tell you what, I see the pros. What you guys were just talking about.
Cons zero. Moving on. Thank you.
I have questions. How are they going to validate the ID pre-delivery? You know what I mean?
That's
things like that.
Interesting.
It's questions like that pop into my head. And I think this is one of those things where you're not going to understand the problems until after it starts.
What I did hear is I can't order a 12-pack of Budweiser seltzers and send it to Madison's house, to her house. It has. If I order it, I have to show my ID and I have to sign for it. That I do know as far as the beer is concerned. And that'll be the same with the liquor. So they have those parameters are in place. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, I just can't. You can't send it to your college kid and say, "Hey, have fun."
I think some unforeseen issues are going to pop up once it gets started. You know they are,
just like everything else.
But the argument is strong to one to keep the places going, or as far as business is concerned. And I understand the part of, you're already drinking and whatever. Instead of making a beer run, let the beer run to you. So I get it.
So here's the Generation X topic about this.
Oh boy.
So Michael, can you picture this? Your grandmother writes a note. I'm 16 years old. I have my license. She writes a note saying, please sell my son, Michael Skinner, a pack of Salem Slim 100s, and he has the money to pay for this.
Good old days.
I go to Doyle's drive-thru down on Wilbus Road, and I go to the drive-thru, and I hand over the note. It has your grandmother's signature saying, please sell this to my son. Do you know that I paid for those cigarettes and took them home to my mother, to your grandmother? Can you fathom that happening today?
Well, today, no, but I can for my age because I did the same thing with my mom and stepdad at Doyle's drive-thru in Ellett down the road. So yes, I could totally fathom it, but today, absolutely not. No way.
Well, Skinner, I totally forgot about that, man. That was definitely a Gen X thing growing up.
Absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, people weren't scared of laws back then, store owners, if you got a note from your mom, well, here, send these to your mama. Right now, a group that used to be called Liquor Control, now called Ohio Investigation Unit, they'll bust your chops of that stuff, man. So that's good stuff right there, man. I forgot all about that. I used to see that on my street. The brothers that smoke would send my friends, to the store with a note, come back with I
don't remember my father either testing the waters with buying a 24-pack of his Busch that he used to drink back then. But with the cigarettes, that was pretty simple to get those sold and not get caught with those. But just imagine how somebody walked up to the store today with a note from their mom saying, "Hey, can you sell this to my kid?"
Hey, better yet, somebody going to the weed dispensary with a note.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Hey. Mama said, "Give me a dime bag."
Right. There's probably a chance that happens today in some small towns, where people actually still know each other and talk.
I guarantee it. Everybody knows everybody.
Right,
yeah.
Right. I'm sure that's
probably
in the larger cities and whatnot, or just a lot of those, like Akron used to be kind of a smaller town, but as it grows, definitely not.
Right. There's some places that are a lot looser than we are, so I'm pretty sure too. All right. Well, thank you.
We as in us, not you so much. You've got that little tiny hole opening, so we'll just leave it at that.
All right. Thank you, Skinner, for world news, world event. Now we're going to head into the world of pop culture. And is he a stud? He wish. Let's get some pop culture from my man Fish.
There you go.
All right. I don't know if you guys saw that. We got 10 minutes on this first scene.
All right.
Go ahead, Fish.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, just kind of on the same note, if you're a Kenmore graduate of the 1980s in Northeast Ohio, you know the K&K market over in Kenmore, and you probably know Samir, who
everybody knows Samir.
His ID was, if you were,
are you old enough? Yeah. Okay.
Give you a look, and it's like, he's cool. He's good. He's cool. He's cool. Samir, contributing to a lot of problems back then.
What was that beer we used to buy from Samir? Anybody remember?
Mickey's Mean Green over there. I used to get that.
No, it was something else we used to get. It was so cheap, like Little red, Kings. White, blue. I can't remember, but it was like $3 for like a 24-pack or something ridiculous.
Brother. Okay. Well, we got about 10 minutes. I'll give you one story. Then, if we want to come back for more, we'll do it here. So, this was a sad story here. So recently, Jack Hanna, the family of Jack Hanna, came out and said that the poor man, he is suffering from Alzheimer's, and he just can't be in the public eye any longer. So Jack Hanna is the director of the Columbus Zoo, or was the director of the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium in Columbus, Ohio, where we are from. If you still don't know the name, if you watched David Letterman in the 1980s and 90s, and heck, if you watch David Letterman at all from the 80s forward, Hanna made, I should look this up, but he made several appearances in our time in bringing on exotic animals to that show, and he was always such a great guest, very informative, very funny, just a, I mean, Letterman had him on all the time. It seemed like almost weekly he had Jack Hanna on there. If he needed a spot, Jack Hanna got out there to New York and brought some interesting animals. So just made me sad because, I watched Letterman constantly, especially in the 80s. Always look forward to his appearances. So, bless you, Jack Hanna. We wish you the very best, you and your family, going through this difficult time. So, that's what I got. Any memories of Jack Hanna, guys, growing up watching him on Letterman or whatever?
Absolutely. Fitz, I was going to say Jack Hanna is certainly a Gen X figure. He actually spanned a few generations.
Yes.
And before there was the Crocodile Hunter and Steve Irwin, we had Jack Hanna growing up. And, I grew up watching late night television. I was a Carson Letterman guy, and he was just always a figure around. The animals were incredible. So it's going to be sad. All diseases are ugly, but Alzheimer's is a real ugly one. It's a hurtful one, very hurtful one, to look at your loved one and they don't have a clue who you are. So our prayers out to them.
Yeah, I'm Jack Hanna, because I go to Columbus Zoo. At least I try to, at least every other year. It's such a great zoo. For you those that are not familiar with Ohio, it's about 2-hour drive from where we live here in Northeast Ohio to get to Central Ohio, Columbus, which is the capital of Ohio. And the zoo is just north of downtown. Jack Hanna had numerous appearances, like you said, on Letterman. I remember he would purposely bring the snakes and crocodile or the lizards because David Letterman had a phobia against them, and he used to just make Dave go crazy on stage. I remember laughing my tail off at that. But Jack Hanna also had a television show. I don't know if it was on PBS or I don't remember what channel that was, but on Saturdays he had a show that he would talk, and it was a learning experience for most people. He would explain animals and how, it was more of an educational show. But yeah, like you said, prayers to his family, to him. Loved him as a kid growing up. Like I said, he was our Steve Irwin, the millennials and kids nowadays remember Steve Irwin more than they would Jack Hanna. But it is a shame that disease, boy, I tell you what, I've been around it. Yeah. It is one of the ugliest diseases that somebody can have.
It really is.
Just
a quick correction there. Millennials actually have Steve Irwin's children.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes,
because he's been dead long enough. So we got a little bit of Steve Irwin as well growing up.
Wednesday. Every time our next guest is in this studio, all of our lives are in serious danger. A big mess is left behind, and once again, I'm forced to hold strange creatures. Oh my God! Jeez! Is it all right? There's some kind of growling noise.
Holy cow!
Jack, are you all right?
Don't put him down.
Oh well, see, I don't know. Can you hear that? No, Jack, don't. Jeez. Put him down.
Give Dave that one. Give Dave that one.
No, I don't want that one. Why don't you come right over here? What is the animal and why is he making that noise?
Oh, it's a little light, but he wanted his bottle, and I didn't want to give him his bottle yet.
Yeah. Oh, these are beauties.
You remember the white tiger we had a couple of years ago, and I wanted just to show you a third one born at the zoo.
How old is that one?
About 12 weeks.
Now that's not a white tiger, though, is it?
That's an orange tiger. See, this...
How many colors do they come in, Jack?
Well, just basically orange and white, but the mother had 2 orange and 1 white, and this was named Kiaja in Knoxville, Tennessee Zoo named it. and we brought them over today to show people because there's only about 90 white tigers in the world.
What are they drinking here?
This is Espalac milk. It's like mother's milk.
And then eventually they'll go on to what kind of food?
Oh, a lot of meat, about 12 pounds a day.
Yeah. It's amazing, these animals, when you touch them, they're so strong. You can feel right through their skin.
Oh yeah, a lot
muscles.
of people think they can be pets or something.
Oh no, yeah. Right. That's not a good idea.
Yeah. Can you hear him sucking? Here.
Yeah, but I heard him growling earlier, and it sounded
like their fish. You don't remember Jack Hanna, do you?
Go ahead.
No,
I didn't think so.
No idea.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead, babe.
Okay.
Right.
Well, all right.
Wow.
Okay, so Kid Cudi, who is a rap artist, appeared on Saturday Night Live this past Saturday.
Yes.
And actually he's made some news here. Now, first of all, his performances were pretty good, but he made some extra news in paying tribute to a couple of well-known celebrities. So first of all, he came out in his first act. He was wearing a pretty cool Chris Farley t-shirt, who, if you're a remote fan of SNL, the 90s, you know who Chris Farley was, and he passed away too soon. And over the shirt, he was wearing like a pretty cool green sweater to pay tribute to Kurt Cobain, whose unfortunate anniversary of his death was recently as well, over the past week. And then in his second performance, he came out wearing a floral dress, and it was like, wow, what is he doing here? And I didn't realize this, but apparently Kurt Cobain also would appear frequently wearing a floral dress on stage. So he definitely paid a lot of tribute to Kurt Cobain on SNL this past week. So if you haven't seen it, obviously you can find it very easily on YouTube and otherwise, but pretty cool. Did you see it? What did you think? Were you a Nirvana fan? What do you guys think of that tribute?
You want to take a center?
Yeah, I'll real quick. I was not a big Nirvana fan. A couple songs I enjoyed. It took me years to realize that Dave Grohl was their drummer. I'm a huge Foo Fighters fan, but it took me probably 3, 4, 5 albums of Foo Fighters to realize that he was Kurt Cobain's drummer. And but Nirvana, yeah, go figure. But I was actually out in Seattle when Kurt Cobain passed away. And he meant a lot to that part of the country. He loved a lot. It meant a lot to that city. That whole, where Mike Jr. is now, that whole area is kind of like Northeast Ohio. Everybody looks out for each other for the most part. If you say you're from Akron, they don't know what Akron is, you say, oh, I'm just a little south of Cleveland. Don't know exactly where you're at on the map. That's kind of like with Tacoma, Kent, Seattle, and I think Aberdeen is where he grew up, was in Aberdeen, which is a little bit south of where Mike currently is. And but that town went into a huge mourning, that whole area, when he passed away. So I didn't realize that it had just come up and passed, but I was a young kid in the military. This was even before. Do you remember what year it was that he passed? Was it
96 or 7, I thought.
No, it was earlier than that, because I'm trying to think if Mike was even born at the time that happened. 93, 94, maybe 95 that happened. Anyways.
94.
Yeah, that's
April
94,
5th,
okay.
1994. He was, almost 27 years ago, almost exact to his tribute last Saturday.
Crazy what time it is. I'm maybe short, but kudos to, what did you say the guy's name was?
Kid Cudi.
Kid Cudi. Kudos to him for not only Chris Farley, but Kurt Cobain doing those tributes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm about to tick a lot of people off here. Well, first off, Chris Farley, certainly one of my favorite comedians of all time, an amazing physical comedian, as well as his timing was impeccable. We talk about Gen X and millennials on this show. We don't talk much about baby boomers. Chris Farley was a baby boomer's John Belushi.
Mm-hmm.
He came along and kind of filled that role on SNL. And I just thought he was brilliant. Sad story. He had no self-esteem. He lived a very sad life, which is funny. Most comedians are very depressed and sad. I don't understand that. And when he overdosed, that really hurt me because I just love Chris Farley. Nirvana, that is just one band I could not and cannot stand for several reasons. And I don't want to cast any aspersions on Kurt Cobain and in the tragic way he left this place. But I just thought, first of all, the timing of the band was terrible. It killed our favorite genre and era of music, the salad days of heavy metal, when the women look like women and the men look like women, the good old days. And then all of a sudden, here comes all this grunge and dirty sweaters, and I don't wash my hair, and I'm so depressed, and life is so horrible. I just got tired of all that crap. Like, get over yourselves. Life is not that freaking bad, And so I just hated that whole genre of music. I hated the songs. I just don't get it. They act like he's the greatest thing to ever come out of Seattle. I'm sorry, Queensryche is. So that's how I feel about it. So,
oh.
Junior, what do you think of Nirvana?
I actually love them. I don't know if I'm the black sheep here, but I absolutely love them. I played a bunch of their songs.
That's my role, but go ahead.
And so, yeah, fair enough. But yeah, no, I'm a huge fan, and I can attest to what my dad said as far as Kurt Cobain and his legacy around here. There's no doubt about that. There's a huge memorial. Actually, a buddy of mine just flew in from Los Angeles last weekend, and he went up and saw it. There's a bunch of stuff going on because it was the 27th anniversary, and he died at 27 years old. And
I was going to say he fell into that genre of rock stars that all died at 27. Tragically, right. Him, Jimi Hendrix, Amy Winehouse. List goes on and on and on and on. So.
Right.
Yeah, the drummer of Avenged Sevenfold is another one, but yeah.
Okay. I won't go too much into it, but I agree. That was the sentiment back in the time that Nirvana came in and killed hair metal and all that stuff. But you go back and listen to stuff in the 88, 89 range, it's like, maybe it was time to do something different in some respects. A lot of that was getting a little, I'm not sure. But that's for another, still my favorite music.
Fair
Anyhow,
point.
SNL is Ann Bates, Beatts. Hopefully I'm pronouncing her name correctly, and sorry if not, but she was one of the original SNL writers. She passed away recently at age 74. She also was a creator behind a sitcom, Square Pegs, in the 80s.
Yeah.
I knew the name. I wasn't really a viewer of that particular sitcom, and just tons and tons of writing credits. So she was writing back in the original SNL cast. She helped create the characters, the nerds, and if you remember or not, with Bill Murray and Gilda Radner, when they had the nerds with the glasses and all that stuff. So she was instrumental there. She wrote on Murphy Brown, and just tons of writing credit here. So SNL paid a little tribute to her this past week as well. So, a pioneer in comedy writing, and to boot, she, a female trying to make it in that business may have not been as easy, especially in the 70s. I don't know, but rest in peace.
I'll tell you what, though.
Yeah.
Back then, I don't know how much now, but back then on SNL, the 70s and the 80s, you thought that the people on the show were stars. They didn't make nowhere near the money, or were not the big hoo-ha on the show as the writers were, because they came up with the skits and the characters. And if you study the story of SNL, I mean, the people on the show were practically bribing the writers to write skits for them, especially if you wrote a couple of hot skits. If you came up with some of the popular stuff, they were like, write me something. It's a very interesting story how they used to squabble backstage, and how the cast would buy gifts and try to get the writers to write them something. It was all about the writers back then. So, she came from a very, very lucrative job. As the 90s rolled on, some of the stars got so big that they were coming up with their own characters, like Eddie Murphy, some doing their own stuff, and they became big movie stars. But it was all about the writers back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, very good. Okay. And just real quick, we lost an actor, James Hampton, passed away at age 84. He was in Teen Wolf and a few things. The one thing I remember him at, he was in the original Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds. He was the I'm trying to think out of the character's name here, but he was like the coach, sort of he befriended Burt Reynolds in prison and all that stuff. And I don't know if you remember that movie or not, but anyway, he was in a lot of different stuff in the late
Longest
70s
Yard?
and 80s. Yeah, the original Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So
Great movie.
anyway, rest in peace. And then
Yes.
last thing I got was if you haven't seen the teasers for the new Ghost. First of all, if you've seen the trailer for the new Ghostbusters movie, it's coming out later this year. Check that out. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, this looks terrific. It's bringing back the original cast members who are still with us, all of them, I believe, that are still around. And the premise is the family of Egon, I believe, his granddaughter or somebody. I think they resurrect the Ghostbusters. They bring back the Ecto-1 and all this stuff. And Paul Rudd's in it. And there's a clip of him being haunted by some mini Stay Puft marshmallow men in a grocery store. Very cool. So I'm sure later this year we're going to see all kinds of toys of the baby Stay Puft marshmallow men.
Cereal, whole 9 yards.
Oh, yeah. So look for that later this year.
So they got to bring back the originals. The ladies didn't get it done.
No.
They gave it a good whirl, but it just didn't have the magic. Good people on the show, though, in that movie. Just didn't get it done. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Fish, with some pop culture. Ghostbusters, certainly part of our growing up. I remember playing the Ghostbusters theme by Axel F.
Yes.
In band, in competition.
Yep,
so that is my girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, at the moment right now, play bass guitar on the field during that performance. So those are my memories with Ghostbusters.
Absolutely.
Hey, real quick before you get into sports, did you guys see episode 4 with the Falcon and the one soldier?
Yeah, Fish, come on, man.
Oh yeah,
our weekly updates with that particular show.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, really getting really intense, and so it'll be interesting to see kind of where this goes from here. So yeah, John Walker is kind of getting unhinged.
Losing it.
Yeah, a lot of bad things happen. Yeah,
so spoiler alert, if you don't want to hear what happened, you haven't seen it yet, turn off your radio for the next 30 seconds. But just the emergence of the Wakanda Dora Milaje was just awesome.
Yes.
That fight scene, man. And I remember him saying, they're not even on the super soldier serum, just so you know how awesome they are. And those bald head chicks, I think they're hot. They laid it down, man. They laid it down.
Marcy kept asking me, she goes, are we supposed to not like Captain America now? Because I really don't like him. And she must have said that 3 or 4 times during this last episode, because she caught on like episode 2 that he's not who he needs to be.
He's a government Captain America. Nobody doesn't like him. So
she's like, I don't like him. Am I ever going to like him? You comic geek, tell me what the comics say. And I'm like,
not as long as you're on the government payroll.
I said, you're going to have to keep watching just like the rest of us.
Well, in the comics, they're sort of following the storyline a little bit, because John Walker,
a little bit.
Yeah, he did become unhinged in the comics, and he had to be taken down and all of that. So they're sort of following it. Clearly, they seem to be laying the groundwork for, the Falcon to assume the Captain America mantle, which I'm guessing will take you into upcoming movies with Sam as Captain America, as they also did in the comics, actually.
Well, 2 episodes left, so they really got to take off the last 2 episodes. But that was great, though. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, pop culture real quick. New show. Have you guys seen The Nevers on HBO?
I saw that advertised, actually. That just started this weekend, right?
Yeah, watch it, brother. Watch it.
Okay.
Phenomenal.
Like a steampunk era superhero show type thing.
Well, it's set like in your early 1700s in like England over there, and this thing is flying in the air and sprinkles these little light things everywhere, and it doesn't affect anybody except certain women. And 3 years later, the women that it affected develop these abilities, and all their abilities are different. Like one woman can stick her finger in dirt, plants grow. One girl, she's like a teenager, but she's like 20 feet tall. one woman could create. She can see the future 10 seconds ahead, which makes her an incredible fighter because she knows what she's going to do. And there's just two women who are the main characters. They live in this boarding house for women who have abilities. They're called the Touched. Mm-hmm. And their job is to keep the Touched safe because somebody's hunting them down. And it's just a fantastic show, man. It's a little bit of Avengers, a little bit of James Bond, a little bit of Wild Wild West. It's just really good.
Yeah, I heard another woman has the power to touch Keith's lower intestine.
I knew it.
Open.
I knew it.
Open it up like the.
See what I got put up with, Junior? Open. Why are you laughing, Junior?
James Jim Carrey did in the way he parted the ways. Yeah,
that's real funny. That's real funny. Anyway, all right.
Open says me. There you go.
Open sarsaparilla. Open Saskatchewan. Open septuagenarian. Open saddle soap. Open sesame.
We done?
No, probably not. But temporarily. Yeah, we're done temporarily. Yep.
All right, how about we get into some sports? Okay, all right. In the world of sports.
Real quick, before you get started, did you see that hand signal?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Give it again. Hand signal.
I know, right? I was going to say that. He's totally missing the whole point.
Yep. That's all right. I can edit it.
Did anybody see the secret quiet hand signal?
In case you missed it on podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
Way to go, Skinner. Oh, my gosh. They did it twice.
All right.
All right. I can put this in discreetly. I think I'll be good. All right. Let me do this, Dad. Both times. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me get to this real quick. Oh, my God. I got some crazy codes. All right. In sports, not a whole lot to report, guys. Of course, the day started off with Julian Edelman being let go by the Patriots. The last, pretty much, of the main guys of that Super Bowl winning roster. He is 34 years of age, and I was questioning. The question all day was, Fisher asked me, I saw it on a sports show, would he join Tom Brady? And, of course, since that question's been asked, he has retired. It is the end of an era in New England, officially. It's going to be interesting to see how Bill Belichick rebuilds without Tom Brady, who showed what he was all about by winning another Super Bowl, unprecedentedly with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But are you guys glad to see this empire go, or you looking forward to somebody else taking that mantle? Skinner?
Yeah, I know Mike's nipping at the bud to make a comment on this subject. Yeah, I'll just be real quick. Mike has only known New England Patriots pretty much his football viewing. So
kind of like knowing LeBron James in the finals.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, it's nice to have parity in any sport. Love them or hate them, you get tired of seeing the same team making it to the same show every year. So, yeah, I think it's good. It's good for football. It's good for everybody involved, all the fans. They're waiting to see who's the next Tom Brady, and that's always an exciting thing too. So
okay, Fish.
Yeah, all dynasties eventually come to an end. We've seen many in our lifetime growing up. 70s, Steelers, 80s, 49ers, Dallas of the 90s, and so on and so forth. Patriots for many years. So they'll rebuild. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how long Belichick sticks around, if he's going to really hang with it and rebuild it, or he may just say, I'll take the TV contract and I'll see you on the flip side here coming up. But I think he'll hang around for a while, at least get the ball rolling to set it up for the next regime, if you will. But yeah.
Junior, you got any words on this?
Oh, sure. I'm just going to say it's kind of nice, but at the same time, I mean, I appreciate greatness. So the fact that this guy's been doing it, I was like,
see, that's where I am.
There's something I just have to appreciate. I know he's had whatever Deflategate and all the different stuff. I mean, he went to Tampa Bay and did it again. So we can say it's not seeing the same people, but if Brady keeps doing it, I mean, man.
Right. I know. I'm with you, Junior. I hated the guy when he played his Steelers. but I just learned to never despise greatness. And to watch somebody do that, it's just been awesome to watch. You know, I want to be able to say in my lifetime I saw it happen. You know what I mean? So, okay, all right. Okay, so that's all I got in sports today, guys. Real quick.
Wait. Sorry, Keith.
Go ahead, buddy.
Baylor defeating Gonzaga in the NCAA championship. Did you see that at all?
We didn't cover that last week.
The game was
last week.
Oh, that's right. I'm so sorry. Thank you.
We shot the night of the championship game. So
that's right.
Obviously, yeah, Gonzaga could not.
The big win streak could not hold it. Yeah. That's amazing. Baylor has been an incredible school as of late. Their athletic department has grown ever since the emergence of RG3 in football, winning the Heisman. And then their lady basketball teams, Brittany, I forget her last name. She's in the WNBA right now. She had elevated their women's basketball team. Now to see their men's team take the championship has been pretty incredible. You talk about parity, we're seeing it in college basketball for sure right now.
Well, Baylor, I mean, Gonzaga had no chance in that game. That game was over in the first minute when they went up 7-0. It was just an incredible feat for Baylor because let's be honest, they were the underdog.
Nobody had Baylor on their
no, they were the underdog going into that game. I don't know what the line was, but Gonzaga at 30-0.
Wow, I know, right? I like to see that. That'd be interesting. So, hey, before I move off sports, because you reminded me, and I think it's a very important story, Skinner, would you review the golf story?
Yeah, the Masters tournament was this past weekend. If you're a golf fan, you'll know that in Augusta, Georgia, they play. That's the Super Bowl of golf. Yeah, they have 4 majors. They got the U.S. Open, the British Open, the PGA, and then the Masters. But that's the granddaddy. And Hideki Matsuyama, who's a Japanese golfer, 29 years old, never won a major himself, and no Japanese player has ever won a major in PGA Tour history until yesterday. He had a 4-stroke lead starting the day, and it actually got bumped right on the first hole to 2-stroke, or he was only up a stroke, meaning there was only one shot between second place and him, and he held on and won the tournament yesterday. So
I find that incredible, considering the fact I think back when Tiger won his first Masters and the comments made by Fuzzy Zeller. So I wonder if anybody made a comment.
Let's hope not.
But yeah, exactly.
Let's hope not. The kid was incredible to be able to hold that lead his first time. He's only best finish before was 5th, and not really even close to trying to win that tournament. But he went the wire yesterday, and kudos to him and the Japanese following.
All right, well, let's get over to music. Also, it's just been a day of rest in pieces. Our friend Darius and Fisher brought up a couple of people, Jack Hanna. Also, DMX. We reported his health issues last week, and unfortunately, he passed away this week. Apparently, a heart attack. One of my favorite rappers of all time. And he has some of the iconic songs with some of the iconic sayings that have lasted through time. Of course, one of the most famous ones is "Y'all gonna make me lose my mind," which is what I say every time I get off the show. And I was just thinking of some of the lyrics that he wrote that stick out through time. So I want to ask you guys, are there any rap lyrics that have meant something to you that you remember throughout time? And I'm going to start with Junior, man, see if he has anything that he remembers that means a lot to him lyrically.
My palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on my sweater already. Oh man, where to begin? There's so many.
We didn't know he was going freestyle.
No, that's a classic Eminem song. "Lose Yourself" from 8 Mile.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of Eminem ones. He'd have to be the main one because that's what I grew up on. I remember my mom bought me the CD and she didn't realize it wasn't the Walmart version, so I had to hide that.
Okay, Fish.
One that's like near and dear to my heart. Just if I'm down, I just go back and rethink about this one. That I once got busy in a Burger King bathroom. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wait a minute. Didn't you once get busy in an after-hours bathroom?
I just must have me confused with somebody else.
Oh, I'm sorry, Skinner.
Yep.
Rap, as you guys know, is really not my genre of music. I listen to all types of music. That's one that's probably most unfamiliar to me. I remember Junior saying that he was shocked when I talked about Dr. Dre last week, and that's who I grew up with. Will Smith, he did a song called Summertime.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
I don't know what that album is or when that was done, but I go especially during the winter times here in Northeast Ohio, he's on my playlist. I'll play that Summertime song, and it puts me in a mood looking for sunshine and
I'm so glad you brought that up, Skinner. It is one of my favorite songs. There are 2 songs that I have to play at the beginning of every summer, and it tells me that it's summer. It's Summertime by Will Smith and Limelight by Rush. I don't know why, but those are the 2 songs. Great choice, man. Great choice. I'm going to give you guys something you probably never heard of. It was a young woman by the name of Nonchalant. Now, we hear all these rap songs come out. We talked about the Cardi B song right now, the WAP song and all this foul stuff. But it's so funny. When somebody puts out something positive, they try to bury them. This woman named Nonchalant came out with a rap 20 years ago. And it was one of the most positive, powerful things we ever heard. The song skyrocketed up the charts, and then they just killed it like after a month. You never heard from it or her again. But it was basically it was a young black woman talking to young black people about always crying about racism, but you're slinging dope in your own neighborhood. And I want to read those lyrics to you real quick. It's really real. When I feel the way that I do right now, I see all my brothers underground. Pushing up daisies, man, it amazes me that you can't see where you're going to be. A statistic, everybody gone cold ballistic. If you had a good day, damn, I must have missed it. Because you're mad at the universe, go to hell with everybody else because you want your own first. I got the urge to let you in on a little secret because you keep dying if I keep it. All the kneeling that you're feeling from within, for what? For the color of your skin? Why lie? I couldn't try even if I had to. Down with the bulletproof vest when I had you, a black woman trying to get through to a few so you can leave the next crew. And the verse goes, 5 o'clock in the morning, where are you going to be? Outside on the corner. You better get yourself together while you're wasting all your time right along with your mind. And this verse right here is so powerful. It says, why should I do right and suffer? I'd rather do wrong, making that loot and that hustler. Instead of hot dogs, I'm eating pork chops and they smothered. I got a gang of loot up in the safe, up in my covers. And on top of all that, I push a fat Lex. I got my hose in the golf course just in case I feel like flexing. So I must ask for who are you to say I'm a big man? And then she comes back and says, yeah, you know you're a big man. I went to 12 years of school and I never could read. The knowledge of my hood is something they could never teach me. I never started to step in, but I kept up with the Joneses. Having rollers with my little pinky ring. I did a lot of kinky things. The girls knew it and flocked to it. I'm around my old ways. Yeah, they still want to do it. It's not about the clothes that you got on your back, but it's about the money in your pocket if you're down like that. And the last line says, I love it. My favorite line, it says, your brother is getting skinny because you want your pockets fatter. And I never forgot that line growing up. So I never could have sold drugs. So that's it for music. This Day in Music, 1969, guys. The song Aquarius, one of my favorite songs by Fifth Dimension, debuted up the charts. It spent 6 weeks at #1. It was also the theme song to a very controversial movie called Hair. If anybody remember that musical, did you guys ever see it? Fish?
Nope.
Never saw Hair.
No, I know
never
what it
saw
is,
Raiders
but...
of the Lost Ark. So,
and you guys haven't seen Hair in a little while, actually.
I walked into that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, 1989. We talked about the Patriots started a dynasty. Garth Brooks' debut with his self-titled album. From there, and then the one after that, we had never seen anybody dominate country music or any music. He dominated just music, period, like this guy did for a 3-4 year run that was unprecedented. Are you a Garth Brooks fan? Do you like any of his songs? Junior, are you a Garth Brooks fan?
Oh, absolutely, I am.
My man.
Absolutely, yeah. I was wondering, was it Garth Brooks or Chris Gaines, his little alter ego that he did?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Fame.
Didn't like the Chris Gaines stuff, but love the Garth Brooks. Fish?
Yeah, he definitely helped usher in a different country sound for sure.
Yeah.
I was never a huge fan, but he definitely definitely bridged that gap that seemed to carry on with a lot of artists from that point. So I don't know if he was quite the first to bridge, but he definitely had a whole different sound. It was more of a, rockin' type country type
he
sound.
Brought the rock style concert to country music too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Everybody followed him after that.
Sure.
Skinner?
Well, I'm glad to hear my son say yes to Garth Brooks because that's what he listened to growing up. Because if I didn't have Garth Brooks on, I had Metallica on.
Okay.
So those were the two biggest things for me. Garth Brooks. I remember him. Chris Gaines. I'm glad you remember that because I had all the CDs.
Yeah, good call.
I had a good run of CDs before box sets even become popular. Garth Brooks was an innovator, a genius.
I thought so too. Me being already labeled as the weirdest black man on planet, I just loved his music. I loved his voice, his songwriting, the subject matter, songs like The Dance, things like that. Just really hit you. But this guy was a pure genius.
He's so impressed he's frozen. He can't
he's
even.
If you see on the screen,
he's frozen. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's all I got for today, guys.
All right, fellas. Well, that's been that hour went very quick. I appreciate your candor. I appreciate your stories. I appreciate you two, my brothers. My son, love you dearly. Thank you for jumping in on this week's show. We appreciate your candor.
Had to join.
Yep. So with that being said, we are up against it. And for Michael Skinner, Brian Fisher, Keith Porter, and Michael Skinner Jr., we bid you farewell and check us out on Facebook. If anything else, you'll find us at It Came From GenX.
Peace.
Next week. See you next week, folks.
I'm throwing the X up. I'm frozen, but I'm throwing it up.
So they can hear that on the radio.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to It Came From GenX with the question of the day. We'll take it to our man, Brian Fisher. What's up, Fish?
Hey, man. So we've been posting some questions out there on some of the there's a lot of Facebook groups out there, Gen X and growing up in the 70s and 80s groups. So, again, some of you guys might be from those groups and being introduced to us on the show here. So, first of all, if anybody has a random question, a memory or something like that you want to have us talk about and certainly comment on the page or otherwise, send us an email at camefromgenx330@gmail.com or go to the page on Facebook at It Came From GenX. You can comment there or email us straight from the page and throw some questions out there or memories or something like that. So I posed a question on one of these sites recently and it got me thinking about, that's actually one reason I'm wearing my Fall Guy shirts. Okay, so did you have growing up like family TV nights growing up at home? If so, what are some of the shows that you watched that you remember sitting enjoying with the family and just kind of memories around that? So, Keith, what do you got here? Did you watch any shows growing up with the family? What did you enjoy?
Interesting question. My answer is kind of two-part. There wasn't any particular family show that we watched together, but I have memories with my siblings and I have memories with my mom. And as far as my siblings are concerned, watching the whole Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, that stuff back to back. And then, of course, there was the Dukes of Hazzard, Fantasy Island, the Love Boat, then Fantasy Island on Saturday nights. Those are very fond memories of us kids all together watching. As far as my mom was concerned, just sitting with her, watching her iron, and never missing an episode of Bonanza are just very, very fond memories that I have as a kid. I grew to love that show, and to this day, I still enjoy watching it. And that's probably the only thing I've ever did as far as what my mom was concerned.
That's nice. Skinner, what do you got?
I have two memories, one from my childhood and one from my son's childhood, actually. For my childhood, my dad was a bowler. If you guys remember, my dad, he was a coach on Saturdays with me.
He was my coach too, actually.
Yeah,
back
he was
in the
your
day.
coach.
Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, indeed. Yeah.
So he bowled 3 or 4 nights a week, and then the other couple days or nights a week, it was me bowling with juniors. And I went all across the state of Ohio and tri-state area bowling and tournaments. So we didn't have a lot of family time, but there was one show that we did do as a family that I remember growing up, and that was MASH.
Okay.
MASH was, to this day, if it's on the TV, I stop and watch, even if it's for 5 minutes. It's one of those shows like Seinfeld to me. That's another one at Seinfeld. And I hope Mike enjoyed our topic last week with Seinfeld, because I introduced him to that as well, and he just took off with it, like I said. But MASH was my show growing up. The family watched that every week, what limited time we had on TV. And then with my kids, I remember Let's Make a Deal, or not Let's Make a Deal. It's the one with Howie Mandel with
Deal
the
or
girls.
No Deal.
Deal or No Deal. That was it. I remember the kids, and it was the older 3 kids and myself, that we would actually write on a piece of paper which suitcase it is that you wanted to pick for the $1 million, and we used to play on the side while watching the show. But those are 2 shows that I do remember.
Okay.
Junior, what do you got?
Oh, yeah. That was the one I was going to say. I was actually going to split it up between what I watched with my dad and what I watched with my mom, because it was a little bit different. And that was the one I was going to say was Deal or No Deal, which is pretty fun. The main show I remember I watched a lot with my mom was Criminal Minds ever since I was real young. Her and I would sit. Now, I think it was just
explains a lot, but go ahead.
Right. I think it's because she had a crush on Shamar Moore, let's be honest. But I enjoyed the show from a very young age. And yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, very good. For me, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say, I never got to grew up watching MASH. I appreciated it later. You know, my first real MASH show that I enjoyed was the last episode.
Yeah.
I thought that was one of the most phenomenal last episodes I ever saw. I became a fan after that. And, of course, the opening theme song, one of the greatest ever.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Yeah, still one of the highest rated television programs of all time right there, the MASH finale in the early 80s. Absolutely. Yeah, I did too. So that was definitely a show I watched with my parents. I wasn't allowed to have like pop as a kid. So Wednesday nights, it was pop and TV nights. So I would be able to get pop, and my dad would pop popcorn in the old air popper and put enough butter in that popcorn that the bottom kernels would be all like shriveled up, soaked with butter. You know what I'm talking about? And it was just so good. And it was a whole, I mean, as we all know, growing up, there wasn't any VCR yet and all that. You had to gather around, and if you missed the show, you just missed it. You had to catch it on reruns. So you had to prepare, get the bath, get your jammies, whatever you got to do to sit down and watch that.
Right.
And it was definitely a different time there. So yeah, Wednesday nights was a big night. I remember MASH. I remember WKRP in Cincinnati in the late 70s. And then in the 80s, Fall Guy here was definitely one we enjoyed together. Lee Majors and
another great theme song.
Absolutely. Lee Majors singing that was not the best singing, but it was that theme. So it was all about just the family getting together and all that. And then yes, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, I know of one show, I guarantee you we were all watching, other than Junior, in our junior high school years. 23 night videos. 7 o'clock with Billy Soul.
Oh man. Yeah. That was the poor man's MTV.
Yes, I know Billy Soul personally. I run into him to this day, and I think he passed away, but in the streets, I'd run into him at the gas station and just tell him how much I grew up, just religiously watching that show every day.
Sure. I remember that.
Do you ever open up to him? Like open up,
Et tu, Brute?
That's funny.
Mike, what he's talking about, a television show real quick, is on a Akron radio station, which now I think is Ion Television. But yeah, Billy Soul used to come on at 7:30 and play videos.
Yes.
And I got to know Billy Ocean from him because he played a lot of Billy Ocean music.
Yeah, he did.
I remember that.
Caribbean Queen.
But anyways.
Go ahead, Fish.
And then for all of us here, as definitely as friends growing up. So Big Chuck and Little John on Friday nights.
Yes.
You know, to stay up with your friends at sleepovers and try to make it to the end of the late night movie, which was like super late. It seemed like back then, but it would end at like at 1 a.m. or something, like 11:30 to 1 a.m. with all the local skits and the B horror movies.
One of my
like
favorites, even to this day, they still run the skit show, and I still watch it. I love it. Hey, and remember, there was nothing scarier or sadder than watch a channel go off the air.
Yeah.
No such thing now, but they have the flag waving and the music and good stuff.
Yeah,
man.
good stuff. So and then with Peyton, we've watched every episode. So she would come over she lives with her mom. You guys know my situation and all that stuff. But we have a weekly dinner for years and years and years. And then we watched, I think, every episode of Modern Family and now the Goldbergs together. That's still a little tradition.
Okay.
Even now, she'll come over and we'll catch those shows. So just nice memories being together with the family and all that stuff. So kind of more of a lost art maybe these days, somewhat, with all the content and just the on-demand, this and that and the other. But definitely something I think we all experienced, that we enjoyed. So that's it. Just kind of a random thought there that we had. So anything else on family TV night anybody wants to add or anything like that?
Nope.
No, that's good stuff.
Good stuff, man. Hope you enjoyed this question. And again, remember what Fish said. If you have a question or a file member you want to talk about, Gen Xer, millennial, doesn't matter. Please catch us on Facebook or all the other social media events you can see us on. For Generation X.
Thanks for watching. We'll look for your questions and comments. So I hope you enjoyed it. Like he said, thank you.
Okay.